Pass them both on the wet part of the racetrack.
Hello and welcome to round 3 of the GPVWC Formula Challenge, coming to you today from the desert of Sakhir, Bahrain. My name is Mike Bell and alongside me today is Lewis McGlade.
Yeah, hello. It's an interesting circuit, isn't it? It's a very tricky one and a very hard one to balance a car setup around, as I'm sure we've both tried before in the past. And it's normally open to some pretty decent racing around here as well.
Yes, indeed. There's, several rather long straights leading into hard braking zones, giving plenty of opportunities for drivers to make the overtakes, and we'll have to see how DRS plays into that. Gearing up for qualifying. The fastest all through official practice, Oliver Ellis Richardson, who was the runner-up from the Academy round at Australia a few weeks ago. So interesting to see how he can show in the Formula Challenge. Just behind, 22 thousandths behind only, is Sandeep Singh, and then 56 thousandths is John Holmes. So it looks to be a really close qualifying.
Yeah, really, really tight at the top. It's normally how it is around here, although the last time Formula Challenge actually came here, the pole time was, I think it was about half a second quicker by Carlos Fernandez, who had that pole position. That was back in 2016, but normally outside of that, it's all pretty close. The race I recall being fairly close, so there's always hope for that. But I expect this qualifying session to be very, very tight at the top. A lot of drivers contending. It looks like it's going to be those three at the moment, but you never know. In a qualifying session in the heat of the moment, you can see a lot of people getting involved.
I said just behind those top three, fourth and fifth in official practice, Martin Hemmingson and Dawid Krupa, who were the two guys who set the first and second fastest times at the last round in Sepang. So they're two definitely to look out for. And Krupa doesn't carry a penalty into this round, so wherever he qualifies, he'll be starting legitimately. So he'll be probably one of the ones to watch, as there's a bit of a traffic jam at the end of the pit lane, but I think Menno Klont has actually gotten out there first. So if we could try and hop on board for a onboard lap with the Crossfire driver.
I would, but mine's not quite moved over yet, so I'll have to hand that to you for a second.
Okay. As Menno now coming up towards turn 4. Big braking zone. This is where Sebastian Vettel recently spun it in the Formula 1 Grand Prix here. Through the twisty section in the midfield. As we go through and now into the big braking zone of turn 8. This is going to be one of the key overtaking points, I think. And then up the hill towards the 9, and then a huge stop for turn 10. Probably the tightest corner on the track, I believe. It's going to be one where you're going to want to get the power down on the way out without getting over the curb, or else it might slide you wide, and you don't want that. And now on the run down this short back straight towards 11, comes out on you, and then up the hill round a long turn 12, up at the hill, over the crest into turn 13, on the brakes down into second, back up to third on the apex, and into this one of the 3 really long straights. As you can see, Menno trying to get a bit of heat in those tires, coming up to the big braking zone of 14, and then the light kink of 15 to finish the lap. Straight, here it comes to start the first lap of the session. You can see this, another massive straight, really quite tight, really big braking zone. It's probably going to be the key overtaking position on this whole circuit, because you can go inside, you can go outside, you can go underneath. So many different ways to pass through here, and then back through 2, 3, and then up the hill to make a full lap.
Yeah, your turn 1 and turn 4 are like the primary overtaking opportunity. You can see some into 14, the final corner, but realistically, it's going to open you up into T1. So you're more likely to see turn 1, turn 4, maybe somewhere in the middle of the lap, but that's as well. The thing is, what these drivers have to focus on at the moment is making sure they nail a really solid, comfortable lap to start with to get that session rolling in the correct way. Because if you don't, that's where the difficulty lies. And getting a lap done around here, obviously with the amount of cars we've got, could be quite tricky later in the session. So starting out a fresh lap, a clean lap, a legal lap is going to be absolutely crucial for your session.
Indeed it is. As the first sector times come in, currently the fastest sector, the purple sector 1, goes to Sandeep Singh. Drivers all on the 31.0, 31.1. Oliver Ellis Richardson, Jonathan Holmes, Martin Hemmingson, David Krupa, Menno Klont himself, as Klont actually just gets nipped by Campfield. So the first 2 on the track are actually on absolute stormers. Hemmingson beats them, Krupa beats them, so the purple sectors are tumbling and tumbling. As here we go, Menno Klont to the final corner. And on the run out, see what the first time of this session is going to be. Where mid to low 40s, I think, for pole position. That's Menno Klont, 141.3, instantly followed by Campfield. Hemmingson goes to a 41 flat, and the times are going to start shooting in thick and fast. As you can see there, Krupa and Jonathan Holmes and Sandeep Singh all going ahead.
Sandeep Singh, fantastic lap, 40.570. Never had a pole position in Formula Challenge, and looking like that is a pretty solid time to start off with. Bearing in mind the fastest lap in practice beforehand was a 40.657, so he's already a tenth quicker than that, a few tenths quicker than his PB in that session as well. So absolutely nailed that first lap of the session.
So that's what you want. Now you've got 11 minutes just where you can go all out, and you don't need to worry. You've got your really good banker lap in that you can fall back on if you don't even manage another flyer. But it's gonna be good feeling for Sandeep, as he's looking to continue his good run of form through the qualifying sessions here.
It's very, very important to start off a session. If you start off a session absolutely nailing a lap like that, it just completely calms you down for the rest of the session. It means you can go after the next lap, see what happens. Are you going to improve? Maybe I'm not. I'm going to come back in. I'm going to get some fresh tyres. I'm going to go out and try again, because I've already set a good time. So, there's a lot of confidence in that side of the garage, I'm sure.
There is, but already drivers throwing up challenges to that. Adrian Campfield with a purple sector 1, and several other drivers going green in 1 and 2. And as you can see, Campfield actually goes off the track, so that's not going to be an improvement from him. But to throw out here, early doors in the session, in 6th place, Mateusz Jabinski. He quite quietly crept up into the top 10 in qualifying for Sepang and just sort of stayed there in the races. So he could be a danger man potentially for a top 5 at this point.
Yeah, around a circuit like this, though, you can absolutely make your way up and potentially down the order with the amount of overtaking opportunities we've got at this Bahrain circuit. So qualifying's not everything. I saw Jonathan Holmes is in 2nd position now. A lot of people are going to be out to start their 2nd stint as well, just to get that fresh rubber on in the session, so plenty of time for another couple of runs. Jonathan Holmes, fastest first sector, gone purple in there, 0.05 faster than Sandeep's first sector. So pretty solid time coming in from Jono there.
There is, and he's got plenty of clear track, and he's got his teammate Menno Klont in behind him, so this is ideal scenario for Jonathan Holmes. He's up on pole, and he's got clear track, but that's not such a good run through 10. Got out on the curb. We'll have to see what he's like through the 2nd split, which is coming up any second now.
I think it's just around the corner.
Yeah, just on the way up the hill. Right, no one in sight for Jonathan Holmes. He's just got lap time that now he has to chase. Here it is, end of the 2nd sector.
Oof.
And it's purple again. Jonathan Holmes, he's making a play for the pole position. he's got a top speed advantage, it looks like, from the speed traps against Sandeep Singh. So with this third sector being just on 2 long straights, that top speed could come into effect, as it looks like he's pulling for the pit lane. He must be almost out of fuel and not confident in getting round again.
While setting those sectors, though, he's going to be confident for setting a decent time later on, and also with lower wings, thinking about the race in more of a sense. That's the speed that you're talking about. The difference is about 5 kilometers an hour according to our stats we've got over here. That is a huge margin, not including slipstream as well. There might be slipstream, but it is a huge margin. Now, pole or not, that's got to be quite a lot of stuff going on in your head that you're thinking, I've actually got quite a good position here. One thing I will say, when I spoke of that pole position that was done 3 years ago in 2016 by Carlos Fernandez, the man who was second in qualifying that day, Jonathan Holmes.
And so Jonathan Holmes has been every season he's done the Formula Challenge, he's always been up towards the pointy end. I remember the 2014 season, it was him and Jesper Tolborg, and then all of a sudden Peter Burlack came along and, well, I wouldn't say wiped the floor with them, but Holmes and Tolborg were really two of the only guys that could challenge Burlack. And now you see him last year making the play for the Super League Championship, is Peter Burlack. So Holmes has definitely got the caliber to compete with just about anybody in these sort of cars.
Yeah, Holmes is very, very good as a driver. He's done a lot of open wheel stuff over the last 5-6 years in FSR and in GPVWC and elsewhere. He is a bit more of a rally boy. We'll ignore that one. Fourth place, Oliver Ellis Richardson has set a PB in the first sector. It would be slightly faster than what I remember Singh's first sector being. So he's just coming through 9 and 10 now in that academy car.
And yeah, I just sector 2 from Krupa.
Yeah, but his first sector's bad.
It's not that bad. It's only about a 10th off, and that sector 2, that's a spicy sector 2. I think he's going to be towards the top of the timesheets, I think. Certainly an improvement. He comes down towards the line. He's got Hemmingson in front, and Hemmingson jumps to second. Krupa now displaces Hemmingson. 15 thousandths is the difference there, and Hemmingson both a purple sector each. It's sector 2 and 3, so it's their sector 1s that they seem to be having a slight issue with as the two Mouse 1 drivers at the moment.
Look at the difference. With those Mouse 1 cars, look at the difference of that sector 2 time. Bearing in mind that there's 2 tenths that Hemmingson's off, but you've got to assume they're both on the same kind of setup, and so you assume there's the same kind of time left in there. Hemmingson obviously pole in the last round. Hemmingson though was 4 tenths slower in the second. 4.
There's the two Mouse 1s getting out of the way of Terence Grech there. So that's the thing as well, Lewis. The teammates are running dead close. Do you go out and run with your teammate, try and work a slipstream in? Because around here, that could probably give you a good... It's easy.
It would explain about that sector time difference between those lot. But yeah, I mean, genuinely around here, you would... Terence Grech is in 8th position, obviously the championship leader who they just got out of the way of. A decent first sector coming up towards the second sector. Fun fact, he is the only man on the field who has been victorious in GPVWC at the Bahrain circuit.
Interesting.
And that was in Formula Challenge in 2016 in the first race. Didn't qualify on pole, but just kept his head up, got through the race, finished first race first, and then the second race third. So a very strong round for him. The last time Formula Challenge was at the Sakir International Circuit. So keep an eye on Grech, at least through the races, as he's coming across
to pole.
Has he gone? Oh, very good.
Well, provisionally. Last sector made that lap time by the looks of it.
Still 2 tenths off in the middle sector from Krupa though. So is there more time in it, or is that a setup difference, or how do you work it around here? There's so many different areas that you can work on around here, wings and stuff, that makes such a large difference around a circuit as tricky as this.
It's one where really there's one area where you want high downforce, but if you run too low downforce, then you're going to lose so much time through that one area. It's weird. There's no completely perfect setup by the looks of it around here. As Jonathan Holmes has set an absolutely storming sector 1. He's not content with that 40.4. He's going for more purple in the first sector already, and he's got Arjen van Putten just ahead of him, which is just doing distance, but Van Putten moves over to the side to not impede Jonathan Holmes.
But looking at the time left, is Jono going to come straight back into the pit lane to take a final stab at it in the final few minutes? We've got 3 minutes and 15 seconds left of this session. If he wants a final run, I doubt he's got the fuel on board to do it. So if he wants that final run, he's going to have to come back into the pit lane, refill her up and send her back out again. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see him coming down pit lane. He's set a personal best in the second sector. So far, he's about 2/10 up by my calculations coming into the final corner. Is he diving down pit lane? Is he staying?
He's losing it.
Down pit lane it goes.
Guess that makes the decision fairly easy, as he's managed to stay out of the wall, out of everyone else. It's just a quick spin, but that shows you the dangers of these outside curves here at Bahrain. They got a lot of them have a little dip in it, and if you get your wheel in there, that's just a loss of traction, and it's going to turn you around in a hurry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very tricky circuit. Whilst we're at this point, though, just going to flick through the top 10 whilst it seems a bit stable for some people getting out on going out for their final stage. So obviously got Holmes in P1 and Singh in P2. Krupa, Hemmingson, those two Mouse 1 cars, third and fourth. Campfield, Ellis Richardson, Greg Zubinski, Whitehouse and Pinsker round out the top 10. Very tricky to make some progress up there. You've got to absolutely nail your laps at the moment. It is really, really tight, and particularly between 4th and 10th. You've got 2/10 over those positions. So, finding a little bit, even in one corner, will be enough to move you up the order.
Or just, being a fortunate track placement with a nice little bit of slipstream. But James Pinsker, he got himself up to 10th. He was, I believe, if I remember correctly, he was one of the guys on the front couple rows at Sepang, but the race I don't think went, it didn't go so well for him. He had a small screen freeze and got turned around by Sandeep Singh, but that's what happens when you screen freeze. It's unfortunate, but hopefully he'll be having a problem-free race today. But he's down in 10th, which is probably a little bit lower than he'd be aiming for, but he did depose Menno Klont to get there. So plenty of names just outside of that top 10, Lewis. You've got Menno Klont, you've got Daniel Hurlock, who's coming into this race driving an academy car, but we both know him from elsewhere and know he's a very solid driver. And Miguel de los Rios, who's was up in the first couple of rows in Australia and up inside the top 10 at Sepang. He's down 13th at the moment.
It's just the nature of it. You struggle a little bit on a circuit and you've gone from being towards the front to being basically last. Hemmingson setting a decent first sector, a decent second sector. Sandeep Singh, his session is done. He is in the pit lane. We have 41 seconds. So that is it. No pole position for Sandeep Singh.
I'm sure he's not. If he starts in the first row, he's still going to be fairly happy with that. But Hemmingson pulled off to the side after 2 personal best sectors, so not sure what he was doing. Maybe he was trying to angle for a bit of a slipstream or something. But he's now right behind Paul Holt. So I'm not sure why Hemmingson backed off so much, but he did. He backed off to the tune of about 5 seconds. We're coming down. Timer's about to hit 0, so the drivers are now going to be final laps, and then at the line it's going to be done.
Yes, this is where it really, really matters. Your heart will be pounding. You've got to focus on that final lap of the set.
Sorry to interrupt, Lewis. That's a big crash. That's Paul Holt and Martin Hemmingson. They've come together in a big way. Not sure what happened there. Oh, Paul Holt spun and Hemmingson couldn't avoid him. That's Mouse 1, Martin Hemmingson. That's not what he's going to want to be seeing, as Oliver Ellis Richardson has jumped up to 4th and split the 2 yellow cars.
George Whitehouse for Calamity MTR has been off the road, down at 5 and 6, so that's his session done as well. It is
highest person improving at the moment is Giuseppe Saracino, all the way down in 19th. That's one of the crossfires spinning. Oh, one of the crossfires in the background spin, and that's a 3-4 car collision back there.
Wrecking ball. Absolutely huge.
Going round. Krupa was involved. There's several drivers there. That's not going to be good for anybody. As Giuseppe Saracino and Alexander Ragoza, they're the two that are set to improve and run out of fuel at the line. I think he did. How strange. So now Ragoza is the only one left, I think, that's improving. He's all the way down in 20th, which is a lot lower than he was the previous rounds. He's up to 12th.
12. Good improvement.
Which, I mean, for a guy that started up in the top 5, he's gonna probably got to be disappointed with that. But we'll see. It's a long race to go. Points aren't awarded in qualifying, and I don't believe there's actually anybody else out on track. Maybe Philip Koenig.
Yeah.
Not on a line. So that's going to be pole position for Jonathan Holmes for Crossfire. which
His third pole in FC.
he's going to be sharing the front row with Sandeep Singh, so that's going to be interesting. But my eyes are going to be firmly on row 2. Certainly off the line, we've got David Krupa, who I think for the first time all season has qualified in a place representative of his pace, and Oliver Ellis Richardson, who proved he can go in the Academy Series. So we'll have to see how they shake out.
Yeah, got some new fresh blood up for the front end of the race this time. It's going to be an interesting. It'll be tricky to call a winner, I feel, for this. I think we will only know with about 5 laps to go. It's all going to be a lot of control, a lot of patience. And I think slipstream will have a huge, huge effect around here, especially with the DRS. So, yeah, I wouldn't want to stick my neck out and say who's going to win. Johnny's in a good spot, especially with that straight line speed advantage. Sandeep, you say, he's going to be happy with second, but is he going to struggle in the race with that deficit that he's got? Plenty of questions to be answered when race 1 begins.
Indeed, and you know the clear championship leader at the moment, Terence Grech, down all the way in 7th. So, I mean, it could have been a lot worse for Terence, and he's got a pretty sizable gap. I think he's got 27 points clear of Jonathan Holmes. So, and to bank the points here is Grech. But
fun fact time. It is about Grech as well, and it is important. So Grech won the first race at Bahrain in 2016, and he started from 6th, so only 1 position higher. Actually, with Campfield's penalty,
that is true.
Is he not going to start from 6th?
I believe he will, yes, because Adrian Campfield carrying a 10-place grid drop.
The stats don't lie, Michael.
They don't. It's could be an omen. As the drivers now, they're going out to start the warm-up session just to sort out their fuel loads and obviously the under park firming conditions. So there's going to be no setup tweaking or anything of that nature. The drivers just be getting used to the car with a different level of fuel in it, which I'm not sure. Lewis, you race in the Super Cup. I race in the Super League Lights. I know for me, the fuel weight makes a hell of a difference. So coming out of qualifying into the warm-up, it feels like all of a sudden you've just been, strapped to a big parachute. Is that the same for you?
It's not. It's really hard to explain because the car is slower, absolutely, but the car feels the same. I cannot describe how it makes sense, but at least to me, anytime I've driven a qualifying session, gone straight into the race in the Super Cup car, and I say back in the times when I was in Formula Challenge, God knows how long ago, obviously very different car back then, but the car just, they don't really feel that much different. I think that more comes down to the length of the race. Obviously with your Super League Lights, you're talking a lot of fuel.
150 kilometers worth.
It's almost having an extra me in the car, and I do weigh a lot. But a Formula Challenge, we're talking a 14-lap race here. How much fuel are you really going to stick in? 20, I don't know how many litres it'll be, but I would guesstimate somewhere in the region between 20 and 30 litres. It's not going to make that much difference on the car when you consider you're going to be going on out in quali on 5.
That makes sense. Going to have to throw it to a quick commercial break, and we will be back with you guys shortly for the first race of this round.
Pass them both on the wet part of the racetrack.
And we are back here, gearing up for the first round of the Formula Challenge series at Bahrain. Just a quick reminder: Jonathan Holmes on pole from Sandeep Singh. And during the commercial break, myself and Lewis, we were discussing some things, and I think we have a few predictions that we can make for this race. So, Lewis, care to reiterate your pick for the winner?
Oh no, I actually don't want to stick my neck out. But no, I said I think Jono will probably win this race. I reckon if he keeps his head smart and all that, his head on and focus on what he's doing, I reckon he's in a really, really good spot to win the race, obviously from pole. And as I said, I reckon Terence Grech will get up to fourth. I don't think he'll get onto the podium, but I reckon he's going to move forward from his current quali position.
So I'm sure Terence will be pretty happy with that, banking some more big points. Already has a bit of a gap in the championship due to emergency drivers coming and going, and Grech being the one guy that holds solid. Obviously, Jonathan Holmes heartbreakingly denied that podium in Australia, which it wouldn't have made the difference, but it would have certainly put him a lot closer to Grech. But no, my pick for the win, I think, for this round is got to be David Krupa, assuming he gets back into the server in time. He's appears to just have had a small crash, but he's on his way back in, we're being told. But he's had a bit of a rough season so far, as David Krupa. He's certainly had the pace. It's just he's not been able to... He didn't get it out at Melbourne and had a penalty carry over into Sepang, which second place start all the way down to the back of the grid. So I think he's going to be eager to make up for lost time. You know, we're at round 3 in the championship, and if you remember back to last year's Super League, by this point in time, Alex Siebel hadn't scored a single point because, you know, of various things happening, disconnects and game freezes and things like that. And then he went on to win the championship. So still time for anything to happen in this series, and I think that Krupa, starting from the second row, he's going to have a real good chance at making up some points here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is a moderate history to people having not great first couple of rounds and then coming back to win the championship, or not even being there. Peter Burlak, 2014 Formula Challenge, missed the first round, then came into Malaysia in round 2 for a small team called Aurora, just plugging it, why not? And then went over to Walk and won the championship. Giuseppe Ranieri, 2013 Super Cup, misses the first 3 rounds, I think it is, finishes 10th in the first round he does, still wins the championship. Now, yes, he was against Oscar Hardwick, who's not very good, but at the same time, very impressive. I just had to get one little bit out.
Get the little dig at Oscar. Yeah. But, I think with the Burlak season, when he came in, wasn't it something stupid like he got 10 poles in a row or something?
Something like that. It was a dominant.
4 pole sitters that whole season. It was pretty nuts as David Krupa rejoins, which probably indicates we're going to be on our way through to the race session very shortly.
Right, very quickly then, I've got some fun facts to list off. Right, number 1. Only one person has won this race twice in one, like back to back and the same. And that was Strana, of course it was. In 2015. The other thing is that every time we've come here, one person, and only one, has finished on the podium in both races. It was Eric in 2015, Terence did it in 2016, 2014, I think it was just Peter Burlak. But there's always been one person that has finished on the podium in that's interesting facts.
That's it's not even happened this season with Australia. It was the same 4 people sharing the podiums, and then 2 completely different sets of top 3 at Sepang. So I mean, anything's up for grabs here, and with people, you know, like Oliver Ellis Richardson, they've not done a Formula Challenge race this year. They're coming in for the Academy Series, and last time out, Ben Hamlet certainly turned a lot of heads with his run up through to second place. So can it be another podium for the Academy team?
Well, the Academy team's in a very good position, where obviously with how that team works, getting in the young talent and whatever from the Academy Series, you're almost always guaranteed to have really good drivers in that car. And if you look at it since it came in, that team's had a good run of results naturally. But then you look at the roster of drivers that have been in that team. They aren't slow. You don't get slow drivers realistically in that team. I mean, look at them this round. With Richardson and Herlock, it's a good lineup for any team.
So snap those guys up if you're an FC or even an SC team looking for a drive or looking for drivers. These are the sort of guys to keep your eye on. The Academy Series drivers there.
Herlock was supposed to be my teammate in Super Cup, but due to time commitments and stuff and not being able to race on Tuesday evenings, he unfortunately couldn't do it. But definitely is of Super Cup quality and speed and pace. This is his first round in Formula Challenge. So his first time in open wheels properly. It's going to be an interesting one.
Well, yeah, I'm going to say for sure. I know him very much as a touring car driver. I'm interested to see what he can do in these things. It's for the start of the race. I think for him, he's somewhere. Was it just outside the top 10? But
12, I think it was.
Yeah. I think the start is going to be very key, just to stay out of trouble and then just start picking people off with the racecraft you build up in a touring car. Should be interesting to see where he ends up come the end of the first race, and therefore when the reverse grid draw gets made between race 1 and 2.
Just got to keep his nose out of trouble.
That's the key. I'm sure yourself in Super Cup, it's been a bit, good results or the key to good results in Super Cup this season have been certainly keeping your nose clean, which something that through not your fault of your own, but you've had first-hand experience of what that does happen. And here we go into the race session with the R Factor man saying his usual non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
Yeah, what Joyce, man.
Did you make it through, Lewis? Or
I have not.
We've lost Lewis McGlade again from the game. So while he rejoins and the drivers grid up, let's run you through the grid. So starting on pole position for Crossfire competition, it's going to be Jonathan Holmes. Alongside him on the front row for KC Racing, that's going to be Sandeep Singh. So Sandeep again with a good qualifying. Not had the best of luck in the races this year so far, but can that turn around? Starting from the front row, we'll see. Third place, my man to watch, Dawid Krupa from Mouse 1. This guy, very aggressive, so we'll see if he can throw in a challenge for the race win. Then in fourth, probably the big wild card of this grid, Oliver Ellis Richardson, the Academy driver and Academy graduate, I guess you could say. Fifth place, Martin Hemmingson, who was up on his lap and just decided it was not going to be so good, so pulled over. He's going to start in fifth place, which is a good qualifying again for Mouse 1. In sixth place, it's going to be Terence Greck, the championship leader, the master so far this season at picking up the points and staying out of trouble. Behind him, another good qualifying from Mateusz Zybinski for PLS. Row 4, good qualifying from George Whitehouse. I think this is the first time he's qualified up in the top 10 all season. He's certainly a guy to watch when it comes to the race. Following him in ninth is James Pinsker, so a little bit lower this round than from Malaysia. In 10th is Menno Klont, the second Crossfire car. Hopefully he's... Spoke to him earlier. He said sounded confident that he maybe will win today. So we'll see if Menno can grab the W. Just outside the top 10, Alexander Ragoza for PZZW. Following him in 12th place, the man we were talking about, Daniel Herlock. See where you end up. Miguel de los Rios starting 13th. Just behind him, Stephen Lexo for Razor. Slowly creeping up in qualifying, Stephen Lexo, and always in the mix for the reverse grid come the end of race 1. Decent qualifying for Frank Hamming for Namco Race Stars. These guys have yet to get off the board, onto the board. Sorry, and he's starting up in 15th. Just needs to hold that and bring home a point. Just behind him, the grid penalty, Adrian Campfield for TSA. And then Rick Van Dorn in the first of the Mad Otter cars, and Casper Michalak for PZZW, with Giuseppe Saracino and Sem Wong rounding out the top 20 for the Santon and the second Race Stars Namco. Just behind, Garrett de Vries in 21st, followed by Hayden Rhodes, second Mad Otter. Francesco Geniale in the drive game seat, ahead of Philip Koenig. Arjen van Putten 25th, Yannick Malaika 26th for the second Razor car. Simone Iannacco in 27th, ahead of Bartlomew Mechicic for PLS in 28th. Tony Janssen 29th, just ahead of Patrick Wannemuller. Paul Holt for 31st, and Dionysis Faros is going to be starting from the pit lane to round out the grid, it would seem. It's interesting, Lewis, starting from the pit lane. Is this if you're down in the grid, you'd start from the pit lane and avoid the first few corners, or would you just go for it?
I'd give it a go starting from the pit lane. To be fair, I'd start from the grid and then sort of see how it goes. But either way, pit lane, interesting call. Race is about.
Yep, as the final few drivers line up, the lights come on. 2, 3, 4, 5. And away they go, and it looked like a slightly poor start for Jonathan Holmes. Sandeep Singh got off the line well. Martin Hemmingson with a good start from 5th place as they're going to fan all the way out. The drivers covering the inside. Holmes trying to cover up Singh. Singh goes in deep. Sandeep Singh takes the lead, but the Mouse Ones come together in behind. Ellis Richardson makes a good start. Greg already up to 4th. That's George Whitehouse up to 6th, and one of the Mad Otter cars off in the background, but otherwise it looks like a relatively turn, and they're 3 wide coming up into turn 2. Singh, Ellis Richardson, and Greg goes back underneath both of them in the small contact. Sandeep Singh is off. He's going to fall all the way down through the field. He's down to 8th, down to 10th, down to 11th before he finally gets back underway.
Oh, Greg's round!
Greg is round, and he's going to reach.
Oh!
Ellis Richardson, nowhere to go. Terence Greg sliding.
Huge crash.
And there's a huge pile up in behind. But that's exactly what Jonathan Holmes is going to be wanting to see. He's now 1.4 seconds clear at the first sector.
Yeah, Greg just lost it on the curb, running down the hill. Couldn't keep the rear end in check. It's obviously quite a shock for someone of that caliber to have made that kind of mistake. Ellis Richardson, though, is trying to race people. He hasn't got a front wing at the moment, down in 15th position, so he's going to have to return to the pit lane ASAP. A big whack there. Greg's probably going to have a lot of damage on the rear end of that car, potentially some suspension damage broken on the right rear of the car. Also looked at the incident between Ellis Richardson and Singh. I think Ellis Richardson got a little bit too aggressive there, but it's a bit hard to see at the moment. Jonathan Holmes, though, 2.2 seconds lead coming out of the final corner. Absolutely excellent start for him.
Look at the guys in 4th and 5th as well. George Whitehouse up from 8th, and then Alexander Ragosa up from 12th. That's
pit lane.
Right down the pit lane. That's going to be for damage repair, and Giuseppe Saracino following him in. So this is all unraveling at the moment for Terence Greg. Several other drivers in behind in the pit lane. Sandeep Singh and Daniel Hurlock both looking at James Pinsker. Hurlock makes it through. Sandeep does not. And Daniel Hurlock up to 6th with a clean start. He ran the side of Pinsker. Singh really there, determined to get back up towards the front.
Yeah, he's going to be aggressive coming through Sandeep. Watched his racing a few times. He'll be trying to get his way back up. Somebody dropped back a bit on the start. I don't know how. Campfield obviously had that penalty, dropped down to 16th, where it was. Now in 21st position after all of the.
Yeah, I think he might have got caught up in something. Certainly, he had to avoid a secondary incident between the two Fair Racing team cars, but I think he got caught up in the Grech incident somehow.
Whitehouse very, very close to the back of Hemmingson there into turn 10.
So Whitehouse, this is an opportunity that's just presented himself here. If he can just follow the two Mouse Ones and then just pounce when if their tires start to go off, because we saw Hemmingson was like lightning last time out in Sepang, but seemed to have any tire drop off, but be able to lap just as quick, if not quicker, than people like Jonathan Holmes. So I think now it's going to be down to the two Mouse Ones trying their best to work together. Jonathan Holmes in the lead.
Yeah, just wait for that slipstream to take effect. Thankfully, Krupa's got a really good position of having Hemmingson, his teammate, behind, so they probably won't fight too much. So, especially with the gap that's forming there, so Krupa's got clear road ahead to go and try and catch Holmes. But Jono, he'll be looking after his tyres, looking after his car, trying to make sure to get to the end of the race. Can Krupa catch it? Not too sure. Can Whitehouse get onto the podium? At the moment, he is looking plenty quick enough, realistically. So watch out for him. potentially put an attack on Hemmingson at some point. Hemmingson runs wide at 4.
Don't do that too many times. The curb out there is very much not friendly, but Krupa inching closer to Jonathan Holmes. I think this is going to be the race where it's going to be down to can Krupa catch him fast enough, potentially. But just in behind, there's a pretty sizable queue. It's Daniel Hurlock in 6th, all the way down to Hayden Rhodes in 14th. So that's going to be a battle that we need to keep an eye on, because that's got the entirety of the reverse grid candidates in it, as well as a few notable names. Sandeep Singh, Menno Klontz up in there. Stephen Lexto, I think I'm right in saying he got both reverse grid poles so far this season. And Frank Hamming, who's trying to get Race Stars Namco up on the board. So lots of drivers in there with lots of things to fight for. It's going to be pretty interesting.
One person who's slightly far off the back of this, but has made a really good start coming up the order, Philip Koenig. He started like 26th position up to 15th, obviously through all the chaos, has kept his nose clean. He's done, I was looking into this because I was a bit curious. He's done, this is his 90th race in Formula Challenge. He has won one race, and that was in his second.
Monaco as well, wasn't it?
No, it was.
Hemmingson! Hemmingson into the pit lane.
What happened there?
He's hit something. What has happened there? Is he
wide at the final corner? Wide at the final corner, drops it onto the curb. The curbs here are absolutely huge. Spins it straight across, straight into the wall, completely breaks the front left suspension, re-enters pit lane, and that is the day pretty much done there for that car, which is a terrible shame. It does promote Whitehouse onto the podium. He's got 2 seconds to the car in front and 2.5 seconds to the car behind. So in a pretty comfortable spot to look after his tyres, is Whitehouse.
He is. Krupa to Holmes, the gap's gone down by 0.2 of a second, but it's all changing behind as there is someone off. It's Stephen Lexo. So that's, I think I'm right in saying both the Razor cars within about half a lap have both made mistakes. Lexo down to 15th and right under pressure from Bartlemy Metishik and the recovering Adrian Campfield back up to 17th, as that's Patrick Wannemiller just in behind, being passed by Rick Van Doorn, ran the outside of 9 and 10. Very good move from Rick Van Doorn.
Very nice. Not an easy overtaking spot. I mean, I've had it happen to me and I've given it a go on others, and it normally ends very badly. So he's done quite well there.
At your own peril, that one.
Whoa, Garrett de Vries nearly takes out Patrick Vandermuller into T11.
So Garrett de Vries, he went deep in at turn 1 just this lap and was out on the grass. It seems to be the drivers are all getting just pushing finding their limits in this race at the moment, finding out what they can get away with, what they can't.
Yeah, let's have a look at P5.
Iannaco, P5 you say?
Yeah, Singh, I think, is going to be having a good run and a good lunge here at Hurlock, coming down to T1. The straight line speed in that car just not enough. Oh, that's going to be stressing him out.
Looks like the gearing more than the downforce, to be honest with Singh, because it looked like he just got to 277 and then just,
stopped.
So if Hurlock can just make sure he can go faster than that, then Singh's not going to be able to draft past him, but he goes up the inside. Now Singh breaks late. Up the inside, doesn't give Hurlock a chance to get back underneath. That's a good pass for 5th for Sandeep Singh. There's all chopping and changing down the back, and that's Stephen Lexo. He's lost his rear wing.
Oh my God,
he's recovering from in the wall. Iannaco going by at not full racing speed, so potentially he was involved, and that's Bartlemy Metishik now he's just made a pass on Rick Van Doorn. So Van Doorn, all the action at the moment. It's this battle down for 13th, 14th, 15th, with it's probably the most active one on the track at the moment, followed by the 2 RTD cars of Philip Koenig, who just got ahead of Patrick Wannemiller.
Yeah, I just had to look back at that Lexo incident. They were side by side coming through turn 2, which is dangerous anyway. And Iannaco runs wide, and then the curves here are so high and off-road, it's so bumpy. He was trying to get it back on road at speed. Oh, as Van Doorn down the inside, he's going to half spin. Not quite. There's going to be other attack from Campfield though. But yeah, just lost it on re-entry, took them both out. Big racing here for 14th position. Campfield trying to make his way back up the order, right over the back of Van Doorn. Not able to make a move stick at the moment, but you get the feeling that once he's passed up into 13th position, he could potentially clear off into the distance from this pack based on his qualifying position.
You'd think that, but he he did drop back even further off the start, so potentially carrying some damage, which is going to hurt him. But now right onto the gearbox of Rick Van Doorn. Van Doorn's going to have DRS, but Campfield's going to have the slipstream and DRS. Campfield pulls out, but look at that. Rick Van Doorn, he's just got the straight line grunt in the slipstream mesh shit. Campfield's down the inside, though. Van Doorn's going to try and hold on around the outside, goes really deep, and Campfield through into 14th. And Rick Van Doorn, oh, and Koenig has to take to the grass in the runoff, or the sand in the runoff, should I say, it's Bahrain, to avoid, and Koenig now going to slot back in behind Van Doorn. And oh, Wannemuller's hit his teammate! Oh, they've gone off turn 4. Wannemüller brakes too late, and they've hit for a third time in this instant. The two RTD cars from BTCC at Alton Park a few years ago.
I looked away for one moment, and chaos ensues between teammates. My goodness me, that is terrible.
What you want to see. But yeah, Koenig just braked early. Wannemüller, I think, got caught out by that, tried to go underneath and just didn't quite time it right and just into the back of Koenig. And I think that's killed RTD's chances of getting points. And let's not forget, back at the first round of the year, these guys qualified these two cars in first and third. Koenig, and was that Sven de Vries back then?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yes, it was. Sven de Vries and Philip Koenig. So these guys not having the form to match their opening qualifying performances.
No, as I say, like, what is rule number 1 of motorsport? Don't eat your teammate. Most people have done it. Pinsker and Herlock. Jeez, having a look.
That was late from Pinsker.
It was. Herlock had a mistake up at T13, ran a little bit too wide onto the curb, kind of kept it on, but maybe pushing a little bit too hard, a little bit out of his comfort zone as Herlock. But yeah, I'd say that I think most of us have had an incident with a teammate before. I took out a driver that I had signed for my team. It was really, really embarrassing. That was in World GT in 2015, a long time ago.
It's a little while ago, and well, this actually has no correlation. Alexander Ragosa in 4th is starting to come under pressure from Sandeep Singh. I was trying to make a leap there, and I very much failed. But Sandeep Singh is just eating that gap back up against Ragosa. He's got DRS, obviously super top speedy, so Ragosa stands a decent chance of being able to hold him off for a little while. And that's for 4th. I think the top 3 are I wouldn't say set in stone, but the ball's definitely in their court. Whereas Ragosa and Singh, that's going to be the battle for 4th right now. Is Singh onto the penultimate straight in the slipstream. He's going to inch up towards the gearbox, pull towards the inside of Ragosa. There's position changes going on through the order. Sandeep Singh up the inside. Can Ragosa get back underneath? No, he can't, but now Ragosa's going to have the slipstream, and I think Singh has the DRS.
DRS, yes. I think Singh has the DRS as well. That was a well-timed move because he timed it just that little bit later to make sure that he got the DRS, Ragosa didn't. 4th and 5th. I think that's pretty much settled now. Singh set the fastest first sector, a little bit of a lock-up on the rear end. It's T1, but yeah, he's at the fastest first sector on the previous lap, so he's obviously got a lot of pace in these tyres. Can he catch a podium? Bit of a stretch, but maybe that's where he's eyeing it up.
It's under 4 seconds, and there's still 7 laps to go. He was on the front row, so we know he's got the pace, and Whitehouse really has not been used to running this high up, so you know his tyre wear is now going to be a key thing to look at, but he's got the gap, and he's not a bad driver, so it's going to be tough for Sandeep Singh. And again, more position changes going on just outside of the points. It seems like Garrett de Vries and Miguel de los Rios are having an almighty fight for 16th, as de los Rios just retakes de Vries again. And then, that's Menno Klont dropping down. Menno Klont off, rejoining behind Frank Hamming. I think he might have just overshot there. Overshot turn 10. Ran wide through turn 9 and into turn 10. So Menno there needs to keep these mistakes to a minimum. He's down in 9th, which is a good spot for the reverse grid, but he's going to be wanting more points than that.
I'm sure Carter will be livid.
How dare you lose a place, Menno? Come on, get back.
Exactly.
He's going to now be under pressure from Zubinski and Hayden Rhodes, who qualify particularly well. I think he was 22nd or something like that. He's up to 11th, and if he can sneak his way up into the top 10 for a reverse grid spot, that'd be great. But just up ahead, that's Pinsker going alongside Herlock. Pinsker has DRS, Herlock has the inside line. Pinsker's clear ahead in under braking and chops across the front of Herlock into turn 1. Good move from James Pinsker. That's for 6th.
Yeah, just outbraked him. Did a very good job there of keeping it under control in Pinsker. Herlock, though, as I say, doing a good job. Just needs to keep his chin up, think about the position that he's in, and focus on that. Campfield and the person I can't pronounce, battling for 13th and 14th position. Campfield again trying to make another position up. He's just not done this quick enough, though, if he wants to get further up in the order.
He's looking back to the outside of turn 4 now. I think up and under here is a good move, but Campfield just straight round the outside. He's going to go deep. Meshishik's going to be side by side with him off the corner. Campfield, they're just about leaving each other enough room, and Meshishik backs out of that one. Oh, but he's gone deep. This is going to give a chance to Rick Van Doorn, and Rick Van Doorn sweeps around the outside. Good pass. That's 2 Mad Otter cars into the points, which is the first time that's happened for a little while.
Yeah, that, though, was some supreme spatial awareness there from Meshishik. Very, very. Only, like, literally gave enough room to the inch. Unfortunately, didn't hold on.
Rosa,
yeah,
from
Ragosa
fifth,
off the
way
race.
off the track. Down to 7th.
Big moment. Wow.
Herlock's now behind him, and Hamming's gone through. Frank Hamming just sweeping up positions. Frank Hamming up to 6th. Yet to score a single point this season, have one of their drivers now up to 6th place, as Mateusz Jabinski goes past Menno Klont as well. All action at the moment here is Ragosa's now going to have DRS on Hamming, who's Pinsker, so defensive DRS usage. It's going to have to be something big on the brakes from Ragosa, and here he goes, big down the inside. Is he going to make it stop? Yes, he is. Hamming's going to get back underneath, though, and Alexander Ragosa back into 7th, and here comes Daniel Herlock. He's got the run. Herlock right behind, getting every bit of slipstream he can, pulls out. Turn 4, Daniel Herlock goes in, and yep, sweet pass. Daniel Herlock up to 7th.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice pass there. Herlock, obviously one of the Crossfire, he's their reserve driver, isn't he? So the Crossfire, it's going quite well. Got 3 guys in the top 10. If you want to think about
They do. And I think Ragosa is just going to sit and accept this. He's going to be back on the attack any moment now. Behind her, Menno Klont, Ziabinski, and Hayden Rhodes all over the back of both of them. So I don't think any of these positions are like they're still all going to chop and change. These are all, remember, key positions for that second race. So it's a 10 to 15 reverse grid as Adrian Campfield and Rick Van Doorn, I think, both passed Meshishik a few laps ago. They're starting to spread out those guys, but Meshishik starting to fall back towards Garrett De Vries and Miguel de los Rios. So those guys going to have a play for points towards the end of this race, I think.
Yeah, the sun's fully set now, so we're in the darkness. So yeah, it could be some more points at the bottom end of the field. I will say, whilst we're focusing on this battle, we don't need to go to it just yet, but the lead battle, 1.5 seconds between it, it's a pretty stable gap. So just thought I'd give an update. Jono's controlling it at the front. And Whitehouse, he's dropping back to Sandeep Singh at the moment, who is pretty much the quickest car on circuit, but it's not looking like it's quite enough just yet.
Well, the gap's
Potentially last lap, though.
The gap's halved in about 3 or 4 laps, so I think certainly Sandeep Singh for 3rd place is a possibility, unless Whitehouse can pick his pace up a little bit.
Unless Singh's pushing a little bit too hard through this point. It's coming down about half a second a lap. What's the gap? 4 laps to go? 2 seconds.
Yep, Whitehouse pulled a little bit out in Sector 1. Action all through the field. There's a pretty intense battle going on down all the way in 19th. Francesco Gianale and Tony Janssen, they're battling hard over 19th. And then behind those, the recovering Martin Hemmingson. Obviously for him, any position made up now is a position made up on the grid for the second race. Same with Ellis Richardson, who's up to 23rd after his first lap pit stop.
And Greg as well. Yeah, it's very, very important for all of those to just get as high as they can in this race, because they're all people that we realistically would have expected in this battle towards the front of the field, and they're all out. So not been the best round for our championship leader. He's going to score absolutely no points. Herlock off the road again at T14. He's going to be under T13 rather. He's going to be under attack into 14 from Ragoza as they come down towards that final corner. If Ragoza doesn't start, yeah, he's going to have DRS as well, I think. I don't know who's actually.
Herlock got DRS.
Yeah.
But
So Herlock then. Herlock onto the straight. He's, as I say, he probably will have DRS here and we'll get straight back through. Yep. Open, pulls out very late. And down the inside, should be an easy move for him down to T1. Goes back straight over the front end, which, yeah, going to open him up for a dive bomb. I don't know why he moved back over. It was always going to open him up for a dive bomb.
So we've seen Ragoza go in there deep against Frank Hamming, but now Herlock looking up the inside again, and Ragoza giving him not much room at all. Herlock being brave, keeping his nose stuck in there, and Herlock sends it up the inside. That was a power move for Herlock, but he's gone too deep. Ragoza back around the outside, side by side through here. It's not really possible. Herlock drops in behind as they come now down towards turn 8. Ragoza there. Ooh, Herlock, I think he thought about just sending it straight back up, but his discretion being the better part of valor there. But that's given Zjubinski, Klont, and Hayden Rhodes just the opportunity to latch onto the back of this and make it a 5-car train with a 6th car in Kasper Michalak coming to join the fray in the second of the PZZW team.
Yeah, Fernando Alonso, eat your heart out. That was pretty similar to that incident. 2012, so like 7 years. Very, very similar to that kind of incident. Herlock, though, instantly tried throwing it down the inside of T4. Probably not the smartest move. I think, just very heated at the moment. He was like, well, I'm just going to send anything into this corner. He needs to think about the position that he's in, think about the race ahead and the second race coming up after this one, and just sort of keep his head calm.
Sandeep Singh now has DRS on George Whitehouse and is comfortably closing in actually on everyone in front. So Singh is, I think he's on Whitehouse now. If he can make quick work of Whitehouse, maybe even second place Dawid Krupa's on the table for Sandeep. That'll be a recovery drive as Herlock and Ragoza side by side again. Herlock to the inside, Ragoza sticking it around the outside. Ragoza stays 7th, but Herlock doesn't have the best of runs, and here comes Zjubinski. Herlock goes immediately on the super defense. Zjubinski now going to grab the slipstream of Ragoza, tries to brake late on the way into turn 4. Herlock goes in deep. Zjubinski doesn't quite get up underneath, but does get alongside on the exit. Herlock is on the preferred line here, though. Zjubinski going to stick it around the outside. He's at the inside here. Contact. Herlock around. Klont goes through. Oh, and then clash again. They so nearly made it. Zjubinski's going to rejoin. Herlock's going to go past him, and then Michalak, Hayden Rhodes, and Menno Klont going to pass them all. Don't want to see that, Lewis, but props to them for giving it a good go. I don't think anything malicious happened there. It's just the case that those guys neither wanted to back out.
Yeah, I think it's just a bit of hard racing, maybe a little bit of room there, a little bit of room there, etc., etc. Some hard racing between them.
Speaking of hard racing, Sandeep Singh, he's looking to the inside of George Whitehouse. Not going to make it happen in the final turn, but Singh gets the better run on the way out and is going to have the DRS. Whitehouse feels the need to go defensive as Jonathan Holmes starts the last lap of the race. So I think this is going to be the battle here. It's third place, Whitehouse and Singh. Singh pulls out to the outside. Then he seems to hit that top speed wall. So he's going to have to try and go around the outside of Whitehouse. Whitehouse locked up the rears, but he's going to have the inside line on the way through turn 2 and 3. That's going to give Singh the slipstream again up into 4. I don't think he's closing quite fast enough, although he does move to the inside, potentially trying to force Whitehouse into defending when he doesn't need to.
I think Whitehouse just needs to keep focused here. He can get that 3rd position, but realistically, let's be real, a 4th position for the Calamity MTR bunch would be a really good result. You're going to want that podium. You're going to push hard, but don't overly risk it because you could end up losing and all of that work. And he has had a fantastic drive at the moment. Sandeep Singh, though, going full out to try and overtake. He will try into the final corner. Whether it'll be successful or not, well, we'll have to wait and see.
I think Sandeep, if he's smart, he's probably going to wait till the final corner as well. He's going to have DRS up here, but he's not going to be able to use it. In behind, everything seems to have settled down a little bit after that small contact between Herlock and Zjubinski. So the battle to watch is the battle for 3rd.
Whitehouse needs to nail this corner. He needs to absolutely perfect it. It needs to be the greatest arc he's had all race long. He's made it pretty good. He's going to go defensive. Is it going to work, though?
I mean, against Singh's top speed, Singh tops out after the line, so it's all going to be about the exit here. Sandeep Singh sends it down the inside, and he's made a little bit of contact with Singh up the inside. Jonathan Holmes going to take the win. That would group a second, and then these two for third. Whitehouse coming back. Whitehouse coming back. Whitehouse edges it by a nose against Sandeep Singh. George Whitehouse take a bow. Podium position for Calamity MTR.
Yeah.
8th place. Great drive, George Whitehouse.
Yeah, fantastic final corner there from Whitehouse. He could have played it a little bit better, but Singh was always going to send it one way or the other. He kept his head cool, focused on that final corner. Maybe held it a little bit too tight, but got a good exit. Very, very controlled on the power. A podium for Calamity MTR. Fantastic stuff.
I'm going to be very happy with that, as we have a few people coming towards the finish. That's Al Simone and Akko a lap down. I thought that was going to be close with him and Greg. So Jonathan Holmes takes the win here in the first race at Bahrain, followed home 1.8 seconds by Dawid Krupa, and then behind the very tight finish, George Whitehouse edges out Sandeep Singh by 11 thousandths. Behind them, a good run from James Pinsker up into 5th. That's some great points for Go Team. Frank Hamming gets Race Stars Namiko on the board with a very strong 6th place. Ragoza, we've seen what he can do with those late braking moves into the first corner. See if he can make his way up through the reverse grid. He finished 7th. Menno Klont finished 8th after staying out of trouble on the last few laps. Hayden Rhodes with a strong 9th for Mad Otter. And Kasper Michalek rounds out the top 10 and begins our candidates for the reverse grid poll, which also include Mateusz Jabinski and Daniel Herlock, who were 11th and 12th respectively after their very physical and heated battle. Adrian Campfield recovered to 13th. He's going to take another one of the potential reverse grid spots. Rick Van Dorn, 14th for Mad Otter. So both of those Mad Otter cars finishing up in the points. And Bartlomiej Mesichik in the second of the PLS cars. He's going to finish in 15th place, rounding out the points and the reverse grid contenders. So just behind him is going to be the second of the Calamity cars, Garrett de Vries in 16th, ahead of Miguel de los Rios. A very much stronger than the rest of his season so far. Sem Wong, 18th place, gives him a good start to build on for the second race, ahead of the recovering Martin Hemmingson. He's going to be one to watch, recovered to 19th. And then Francesco Gianale, 22nd for Oliver Ellis Richardson. Again, a driver very interesting to see what he can do in the second race. I feel like he got a bit robbed in the first. We'll see how he goes next time out. Paul Holt, 23rd, ahead of Patrick Wannemuller, the RTD car. I think it's fair to say, Lewis, not the best of races for RTD. There's 24th and Koenig was 28th. 25th, the championship leader Terence Grech going to be very disappointed with that and has some work to do in the second race. 26th in the first of the Santon cars, ahead of Yannick Maleka, who ended his race in a wall, or didn't end it in a wall, but took a visit to the wall. Philip Koenig, who got a visit from his teammate, so is going to round out the finishers for Drive Game Seat, having not a happy race for him in 29th. And 2 DNFs, Arjen van Putten and Steven Lexo, and then Dionysis Pharos, who appeared to have blown his engine, Lewis. It's obviously we're in the desert. It's not going to be it's going to be very, very hot. Maybe just running a bit too extreme on the radiator.
Yeah, but he didn't complete a lap though. So I don't know
think
how.
he was sat at the end of the pit lane
Yeah.
and just on idle. These cars don't like sitting on idle for so long.
No, they do not. Yeah, well, race 2 is going to be very, very interesting, regardless of the reverse grid. Doesn't matter what number it is. You're going to have 3 drivers at least that are low down in the order. So you've got Hemmingson, Ellis Richardson, and Grech, all really quite low down in the order, 19th, 22nd, and 25th apiece. They're going to be trying to make their way back up this order as quick as they can. Obviously involved in that incident coming down into the hairpin at T8. So watch for those to come up the order as quick as they can and get themselves into points contention, because realistically, they're all fast enough to be up in that front group. How that's going to happen, not too sure. And yeah, so we're going to have some very, very interesting racing.
It's that's another thing. You say any reverse grid candidate is going to be interesting. I definitely think at least 3 of those reverse grid candidates, if they get reversed onto pole, could be a very strong contender for the race win.
Yeah, for sure. There's quite a lot. I mean, one of them that I'm looking at is Campfield. If Campfield gets reversed up there, he can be pretty quick when he needs to be. Let's be real.
Yeah, he's definitely one that can, on his day, can hang with anybody. But for now, we're going to have to throw it to another commercial break, and we'll be back very shortly to give you the run up towards race 2.
Cabin's gone off! Cabin's gone off! Who's completing her? He's going to watch Cooper! He's going to pass them both on the wet part of the racetrack. Oh, he swings left and right, and then trying to put Wallace up. Wallace up, that was so close.
And we are back with the GPVWC Formula Challenge from Sakhir, Bahrain. After an absolutely astounding race 1, we've got race 2 to go, featuring a reverse grid draw, Lewis.
Yeah, of course. It's going to be... race 2s in these kind of championships are always a little bit hectic, are always a little bit crazy. I believe the reverse grid draw for this is between 10th and 15th place, which means you've got a large number of the grid, realistically, a bit lower down than where they'd want. It's what creates the interesting race 2s, the infamous race 2s as we know them. We've both, I feel, been on the good end and the bad end of reverse grid races. It's just the nature of what we do in sim racing at the moment, but I'm sure we will have a very good race around here.
I'd say it's going to be a different pole sitter, as Stephen Lexa was unable to make it up into the reverse grid draw. But as you say, Lewis, we've both had experience, good and bad, of the reverse grid. And I remember the first time I got reversed onto the front row in the Formula Challenge was way back in 2013 at Korea, and I think I just stuffed it in a wall of my own free will at the end of the first lap, which was not my finest moment, but we'll have to see how the drivers handle it. It's got plenty of people actually in a small duel out on the track at the moment. Delos Rios, Geniale, Martin Hemmingson is one of the Stantons in behind as well. So even now, the drivers still can't help but race.
Yeah, well, it's all practice, isn't it? Every moment that you get on circuit, especially when the server moves over and we get ready for the second race, certain things, subtle things are different. Even if the amount of rubber goes back to how it was prior to the race, those little things are different. When you take into account tyre wear, say for example in your Super League car, when you go from when you go from being in the Super League lights, from being on some really, really worn soft tyres to then going back on some fresh softs or fresh super softs or whatever, the speed increase sometimes takes the wind out of you. You need to try and think, oh my god, I can't do that corner flat, surely, but it's possible. So you need to use the warm-up session to get back into that rhythm. And yes, carry on with your ooh.
Let's just say the reverse grid draw has happened. It's number 11. So Mateusz Jabinski probably inadvertently has struck lucky here, as he's going to be starting on the pole position. So we're not going to be seeing him and Daniel Hurlock round 2 unless Hurlock can fight his way up forward. So we'll have to see Mateusz Jabinski first and last time in career. It's now his chance to have an unimpeded run down towards the first corner. See how he fares. But one thing, Lewis, with it only being 11, that's going to put Hurlock back into 12th and Campfield into 13th. So even more drivers to look at that could come through from a little bit further down the grid.
Yeah, if Campfield gets a good start, realistically, he should be fighting for that podium. But remember that stat I came out with? Every year we've come here in the previous 3 attempts that we've come to the Bahrain circuit, there has been one driver that's been on the podium in both races, right?
Mm.
Realistically, I'd say towards the end of that race, are any of those 3 going to be able to rip? If Sandeep had got on the podium, I would have said it probably would have been him. But he didn't get on the podium.
He didn't quite manage to make it up. I mean, he got there, he just couldn't hold it. But
no,
for sure, he made mincemeat out of the top 3 over the end of that race. So maybe there's something in that lack of straight line speed. Maybe somehow it keeps the tires a bit better.
Better downforce,
we'll see.
Yeah.
But no, Singh's going to have to make more places up. And we're going to have to see how Jonathan Holmes can handle going up through traffic in this race. Because, of course, he didn't really have to fight with it so much. The field kind of all fell apart just behind him off of the first half of the lap, and that just let him run his own race, and Krupa couldn't quite catch him. And
Krupa's pace at the end of the race was not good as well. Like, he really had dropped off towards the end of that, it looked. Maybe it was just a couple of laps with a few mistakes here and there, but it just didn't look like that car was with it. So whether it would be Krupa or not, I don't think so. I think Jono, realistically, is the most likely of those to repeat a podium. But is he going to be able to come through a field? As you quite rightly pointed out, he hasn't raced anyone yet, realistically, around here. He's literally just driven his own race. And also, one thing I distinctly remember from Jono in the past is his ability to do 2 races in one weekend. That was actually 1 week that was good. Is not likely. It's like trying to find grass around the Sakura International Circuit.
Sure, if you looked hard enough, there'll be a few blades out there, but a run. Final few seconds of this session as Miguel de los Rios has topped the timesheets of this warm-up. Posed by Oliver Ellis Richardson, but it's going to be interesting. Where do you pay attention for off the start of this race here? Do you watch the front guys? Do you watch the guys who are on the podium? Do you watch the guys who didn't have such a good race that you think could potentially be top 5 contenders, like Ellis Richardson, Grech, Hemmingson? There's going to need to be eyes everywhere.
I think people like Ellis Richardson will be absolutely flying through this order. They'll be just, well, they'll either be flying through the order or crashing. You've come into this in the academy car. You've realistically, like, your pace speaks for itself. And outside that, you've not really got anything to lose from trying to push, and everything to gain. So, why not give it everything and try and come through the order? So I would recommend keeping an eye on that position. But, I mean, a battling towards the front is going to be... should be very, very good around here.
It's a track that does lend itself quite nicely to pretty good fights. Kasper Mikulak there demonstrating again. PZZW finding those curbs that are not so nice up through turn 13, and hopefully they'll be looking to avoid those races. We're just about to move across into the session here at Sakir, Bahrain. The Polish driver is going to be... Oh, where's it gone? It's all changed. My crashed? No, I'm still in. It's good. So we're going to have on pole Mateusz Jabinski. We'll see what he can do. He's been quietly going about his business in the Malaysia round. There's the R Factor man again. In the Malaysia round, a bit, I think it's safe to say, a bit louder in the first race here, and now he's starting on the pole position. We'll have to see what he can do.
Yeah, in this early part of the season, you're going to want to have a good second race at some point. Well, a good round at some point, just to boost that confidence for the rest of the season. These are long seasons. If you don't start in a confident way, it's going to be very difficult for you to come back. So, keep focused. We'll see what happens.
It's in the bag are worth more than birds in the bush or something like that. I've probably butchered that saying pretty badly. But 15 seconds till the grid closes, and Matej Jabinski is going to be starting from pole position, hopefully. He's still in the pit lane. This is going to be pretty close. There he is. Matej Jabinski for PLS. He's going to be starting on pole position. Alongside him on the front row, Kasper Michalak, who I think is probably the guy, if you added up just the pure grid positions, is probably one of the highest starting drivers across all of the now 6 races this season. So PZZW driver, he's always up in the mix. Interesting chance to see what Hayden Rhodes can do. Had a strong race 1. Up from 22nd, I believe, to, what was it, 8th place? He's going to be starting from 3rd, so that's going to be one to watch out for, especially for Mad Otter. Just behind him, Menno Klont for Crossfire, driver who kept his nose out of trouble. Going to start up on the second row. In 5th, the second PZZW car, Alexander Ragoza. We've seen what he can do late on the brakes into turn 1. He'll be one to watch certainly off the start. Behind him, Frank Hamming for Racestars Namco, with a strong finish in the first race, hoping to repeat that second time around. James Pinsker, a bit of a quiet race up to 5th, but still strong points for Go Team. Sandeep Singh, who is arguably the fastest driver on the circuit come the end of the first race. Behind him, the guy that pipped him for a podium, George Whitehouse, starting 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Dawid Krupa for Mouse 1. Then the race 1 winner, Jonathan Holmes, going to be starting 11th. 12th place, Daniel Hurlock for the Academy Series. He's only down this far because he had a small coming together. We'll have to see how he handles getting up through the field. Behind him, 13th, Adrian Campfield, made up places all through the first race. Now has to come from just outside the top 10. Behind him, Rick Van Doorn, second Mad Otter car. Rounding out the guys who finished in the points in the first race, alongside Gerrit de Vries, who's just seen his teammate sneak a podium. What can he do in the second of the calamities? Behind him, the driver he was engaged with in a fantastic race all through the first race was Miguel de los Rios. 18th and 19th, one to watch, Martin Hemmingson from Mouse 1. Top 20 rounded out by Tony Janssen and then Francesco Geniali. Oliver Ellis Richardson, as Lewis said, going to be look for him to be quite aggressive up from 22nd. Behind him, Paul Holt and then Patrick Wannemuller in the first of the RTD cars. Terence Breck looking to salvage what's been a pretty bad event so far in 25th. Giuseppe Saracino going to be alongside him in 26th for Stanton. Then Yannick Maleka and Philip Koenig on row 14. Behind that, Simon Iannacco, Arjen van Putten in 30th, Stephen Lexo 31st, and Dionysis Faros starting from the grid this time. Solved his apparent overheating issues.
Well, potentially for now. We'll see what happens over the race. I'd say keep an eye on Menno Klont. He was pretty confident coming into this, starting P4. Going to be a very good one if he can keep it together.
As the drivers line up, 2 lights are on. 3, 4, 5. Oh, and Ziobinski gets a good launch. He's pulled on away from Michalak, but look at that's a poor start from Hayden Rhodes. He's already 3 wide in the middle. That's Klont on one side, that's Ragoza on the other side, and there's Hamming sticking his nose in on the inside as well. They're 3, 4 wide as they head down in towards turn 1. And that's going to be Matej Jabinski leaving in the lead, and there's cars everywhere. Klont taking avoiding action. Oh, makes more contact. Frank Hamming up to 5th. So all these drivers in a big sort of glob for 3rd as Hamming looking to the inside. Ragoza's in there as well. That's Hayden Rhodes gaining 1 and losing 1. Frank Hamming up onto the podium provisionally. Sandeep Singh carving his way through. That's one of the crossfires. That's Menno Klont's fallen back all the way down to 10th. Campfield's up to 11th. And that's a move there. Hayden Rhodes going back for 3rd place. All action in this first half lap. But that's given Matej Jabinski and Kasper Michalak just a small gap. They're able to break away. And if these guys keep fighting, that could be a one-on-one race for the win. Krupa and Whitehouse side by side. And that's Jonathan Holmes already. Martin Hemmingson up from 19th already into 13th and attacking Jonathan Holmes with Daniel Hurlock basically underneath the rear wing. There is Ellis Richardson. He's up 7 places already, up into 15th, deposing Bartlemy Meshachik. And it's amazing racing on this opening lap of the second race. Don't think there's been anyone. I thought Garrick de Vries has had a problem. And
Sorry, Rhodes off the road. Oh,
everyone's going to avoid him, and he's just going to lose so many places. He went off in 3rd. He's already 12th. On him fast. But, oh, look at this. And that's all down the inside in the background. That's Meshachik battling with Rick Van Dorn. Terence Grex made a good start. He's up to 18th, so solid progress for the championship leaders. The 2 Academy cars get into a battle as Ellis Richardson looking to pass Daniel Hurlock. Just ahead, Hemmingson's looking for a move, and all the way up there, that's Sandeep Singh going for 3rd. Sandeep Singh now up into 3rd place. I think you've got to consider Sandeep Singh to be the probably odds-on favourite to win this race at this point, as everyone's still in a huge battle. That's Hayden Rhodes and Hemmingson together. Rhodes goes off, through goes Ellis Richardson. They're still going to be all over each other. Hemmingson's defending. Richardson tries to go on the outside. Hayden Rhodes there. Oh, and off goes Hemmingson again. Through goes Richardson. Through goes Rhodes. Hurlock's there. They're side by side. Small bit of contact. Hayden Rhodes lost it. Hurlock's been hit again. Hurlock, can he hold it? Yes, he does, but he's going to lose so many places. Brilliant car control from Daniel Hurlock to hold that, but he's now down to 21st and with a lot to make up.
Yeah, it's just one of those really messy instances. Ellis Richardson, fantastic driver at the moment, up to 12th. Hemmingson had a few instances there, now in 13th position. Yeah, very good though from Ellis Richardson. Greg also up to 16th, fighting for the bottom end of the points positions. Jonathan Holmes needs to get on with this now if he wants to go after that podium. But at the moment, the top 2 have run away with it a little bit. Zabinski and Mikulak way 2 seconds clear at the moment of Singh. But yeah, Singh will be closing.
Singh just he closed half a second as well. The crossfires, that's off. That's a lot of black smoke. Hopefully that's from the surface and not from the engine. I think that was Menno Clont there with the scare. Krupa's attacking Whitehouse. But as you say, Singh 2 seconds off, but he gained half a second in the middle sector alone. Now Mikulak he's not got DRS. It's not active yet, so Zabinski's going to be relatively comfortable on the way to turn 1. Although Mikulak's going to send it. Kasper Mikulak, PZZW, they're great on the brakes. He's side by side. He's going to have to hold it around the outside of turn 2. Zabinski gives him almost enough room, but doesn't quite pay off for Mikulak, and there's chopping and changing all through the order behind us. That is Campfield passes Clont, Holmes looking to follow him through. So Menno having a bit of a struggle early in this race.
Yeah, I don't think Holmes will be fighting. Clont will be fighting Holmes that much. Holmes a little bit too much over the curve on the inside, slows them both down. But Holmes up into 10th position, going to close down on Campfield. Singh, though, if he does take this victory, there's 3 tenths between the top 2 now. 1 second back is Sandeep Singh. It'll be his 2nd victory in Formula Challenge. His first one came in Hungary in 2015, a long, long time ago. It's a long, long time between drinks, but he is going for it.
Oh, that was, you say that was a screen freeze out of Singh. He was fortunate that he didn't collect anyone, but that's going to be a good half a second just lost on that straight alone. So there we go. It's getting dark. The strain on the CPUs is going to be going up as Ellis Richardson, he's past Menno Clont. He's up to 11th and putting Jonathan Holmes under a lot of pressure already. Everyone's charging to the front in this race, Lewis.
Yeah, there is going to be a moment later in this race where this is all just going to come together as Creeper and Campfield. Campfield's going to go straight. Whoa! Oh, big crash in the background, I'm hearing.
Yep, that was one of the Fair Racing Team cars coming together. That was Paul Holt involved,
P9.
with Yannick Malaika and several other cars. Janala is involved. And Zabinski defends the lead off Mikulak, but Singh is right with them already. DRS now active, and that's side by side. That's Ragoza and Pinsker into turn 1. Ragoza's going to hold Pinsker off for the time being, but Pinsker always more R-Factor noises somewhere, and that's Jonathan Holmes switching from left to right, attacking Campfield, but Ellis Richardson's going to try and stick it in when the doors open. Holmes now going to be hung out around the outside. Look at Ellis Richardson. He's got the run. He's going to try and make it 3 wide. He's backed out of that, and Holmes has stuck it around the outside. Good move from Holmes against Campfield, and Ellis Richardson, he's going to look for a pass into turn 8. Hemmingson's all over them, and Ellis Richardson, He's eased up the inside. Campfield runs wide, now they're 3 wide. Hemmingson on the left, on the right. Campfield
Someone's
on the
got
left.
to back out.
In the middle. Oh,
Yeah.
contact. Richardson's going to head straight on. He's going to go off.
Yeah, that's just egos, that is.
No one wanting to give an inch, and now Campfield and Hemmingson, they're back on top of each other. Hemmingson switches back underneath. Big move from Hemmingson, but Campfield's going to go back up the inside. Through goes Clont as well. He's properly in this fight. Hemmingson, Clont, Ellis, Richardson, all 3 wide. Ellis is going to go for it. They're both going to pass Clont, and Menno gets out to dry, and they've hooked. Ellis Richardson around. Great avoidance from the Mad Otter car. That's Hayden Rhodes picking his way through pretty spectacularly, and that's Ellis Richardson back to 21st. That's unfortunate, but as you were going to say, oh, that's a contact. Greg! Oh, Terence Gregg got hit hard from behind, and he just about managed to avoid cleaning up Menno Clont whilst backwards. And while this is all going on, there's a move for the lead. Mikulak makes a pass. Zubinski's defending. They're all over each other for 4th. All the action kicking off at once. Ragoza and Hamming side by side. It's all happening.
Mikulak just absolutely slammed Sandeep Singh off the road there as well for P2. Racing Standards has got a little bit out of the window at the moment. Battle for the lead though, as Mikulak is looking.
It's all over the place. I'm just waiting for when they just send it 5 wide into turn 1, this group. It's going to happen.
Yeah, there's going to be an instant at some point.
Even through, as they come into turn 8, that's Janile. Oh, he's a lap down car getting out of the way as the 2 Mad Otter cars go through dueling with Menno Clont. And they're together again. That's Pinsker. No, not Pinsker. That's Krupa going around. That's out of turn 10. I'm not sure what caused that, but now Pinsker and Campfield are all over each other. Campfield looking to the inside. Just up ahead, the top 3, they're keeping it clean through this middle sector. Ragoza's got a gap. Whitehouse has found himself in 5th again. And David Krupa, now under all sorts of pressure, is properly kicking off here. Patrick Wannemuller is coming from nowhere. He's up into 13th now, thanks to all of this this chaos. And Giuseppe Saracino up into the points for Stanton. That's good to see the green team up there.
Refocus on the lead. Sandeep Singh. Sandeep Singh's going to be going for 2nd place here on Mikulak. He's got the slipstream, got the DRS. He's going to go around the outside, probably into turn 1, if he can make this one stick. Is he going to close up enough to go straight for the lead here? I doubt it. But it's going to be close enough. Yeah, Zubinski's going to defend, but it's going to be open up into T4 if Sandeep can get a really, really good drive out of 1. Goes through 2, perfect through there. Goes through 3, a little bit too much on the curb. But heading up to T4. I don't think he's close enough to lunge it at the moment. He might have a look. Nah, he's not going to try anything just yet. Getting in his mirrors, filling it up. But up into 2nd position is Sandeep Singh.
Phenomenal job so far from Sandeep. And now he's only got Zubinski to try and overtake before he's now leading this race. And behind, I think Sandeep, the nearest guy to him that can match him on pace is probably Whitehouse back in 5th. So Sandeep needs to make hay while the sun's shining effectively, and gets very close to the back of Zubinski. Again, that's Mouse 1 not having a good day of it. They're down to 18th and 17th again. Look at this battle. Rick Van Dorn and Saracino side by side. Van Dorn, he had a twitch and got on the curb. Daniel Hurlock's going to take advantage up into the points here, and Krupa's going to get back through.
Oh, God, what was that?
There. I think we might have just lost Lewis McGlade there briefly.
No, it's just looking at some really... That was terrible from Krupa. Just absolutely slammed Van Dorn straight off the road. Absolutely
Here comes
unacceptable.
Singh. He's got the run. He's going to have the DRS. Zubinski's got a good exit, though. And Singh's not really closing. Now he's going to pop the DRS. Zubinski's going to feign to the inside. He's going to go for the big defense. Back in behind is Mikulak, but he's way too far back to make anything happen of this. Singh's going to go around the outside. Zubinski's going to try and stick it, but Singh's going to have the inside for turn 2. That's going to be the move. Sandeep Singh up into the lead, but can he defend? Zubinski's coming back at him hard. He's not going to give up this shot at the race win. Not for love nor money. He's going to try it around the outside. He's going to hold Sandeep in pretty close. And no, Sandeep Singh into the lead. Zubinski falls to 2nd. Mikulak in 3rd. And these guys have got a pretty pretty decent gap. It's nearly 3 seconds back to Ragoza as Michalak sends one into turn 8. That's a opportunistic move, and he's made it stick. Kasper Michalak up to 2nd place.
Yeah, Singh's just going to run away now.
I would think, based on his race 1 pace, that would be the case. But if Michalak and Zubinski can just keep in DRS zone, they can go with him. But I think now they're more interested in fighting each other. As here comes Zubinski into turn 12. He's looking to the inside. He's alongside. He's made it. Michalak's going to try and get back out underneath. Zubinski kept it fairly in the middle of the road, though, and chops back across at Zubinski, saying, "This is my 2nd place. You are not coming through."
One person who's getting himself back into contention for doing back-to-back podiums is George Whitehouse, who's in 5th position, not too far back from this battle. And if they're going to keep fighting this hard, then both Whitehouse and Holmes are definitely in contention for that podium.
Along with probably everybody back to about James Pinsker by the looks of it. Because it seems like that train has settled down and started running line astern. But yeah, no, if Michalak and Zubinski, they're in strong podiums now, but they're not going to settle with what they got. They're both going to go for that 2nd place as Zubinski defends. Michalak on the outside, we know how late he brakes, but Zubinski's going to reach the apex first. Michalak tucks in behind. Behind there, they're all fairly line astern. Further back,
13th and 14th, Lexau going up into 13th position. He's come from 31st on.
Wow.
That is a good drive.
I'll say he's been impressive. He's had impressive moments across both of the rounds so far. He's not been potentially rewarded with the amount of points he's deserved, but up the inside, Lexau up to 12th, not stopping there, and Saraceno looking to try and capitalise. Wanamuller getting mugged at the moment. But as you were saying about Lexau,
Saraceno did not slow down for that.
Wanamuller again. Saraceno is off. That's going to drop all of those guys back. Sem Wong is going to be one of the many who I'm sure will take advantage. So is Martin Hemmingson, but that's not what you want to see, and that's going to be Saraceno. I think his race is done at this point. He's just pulling off now. It's really unfortunate for Wanamuller. He was the in the first race, and that time he just got hit in the back, and his position changes again. That's Giuseppe Saraceno. It's just the timing screen. Saraceno retiring from the race, it popped him back up into 9th for some reason.
Yeah, I think slow wasn't so terrible. Yeah, such a shame for those guys. That's racing, isn't it?
Oh, it's Jonathan Holmes. Speaking of racing, Whitehouse up to 4th, Ragoza down to 5th. Jonathan Holmes all over the back of him. And then just in behind Campfield, the same on Frank Hamming. So this train from 4th to 9th with Pinsker involved. That's going to get juicy into turn 1, as I think Zubinski's got enough of a Michalak that he can hold it through the first corner. Yes, he can. But here comes Campfield down the inside of Frank Hamming with the decisive move. Campfield up to 7th. Good pass for the TSA Racing driver, who needs to be really making up for the lack of points scored by Terence Grech, who's only up to 18th after all of the shenaniganry that's gone on early on in this race.
Yeah, well, there has been a fair amount of battle for 2nd and 3rd, again staying really, really close, but Whitehouse should be closing on this. What a turn of form it is for the Calamity MTR bunch as well. I think doing some quick looking into the stats at the moment, that car of George Whitehouse is the only car that has been in the points in all of the 5 previous races. Now, because Terence didn't score and neither did Lexau, so there we go, that's something.
It's pretty impressive for George Whitehouse. If he can keep the point scoring streak up, that's going to be great for him at the end of the season. He's got clear road ahead of him, so he's got Ragoza in behind to worry about. But I think he's going to be pushing forward to try and get back up on the podium again. As Michalak's going to help him with that. As Michalak's run off through turn 13, he's going to lose a lot of time to Zubinski. And then Whitehouse is going to be bringing the cavalry almost, as you've got Campfield, you've got Jonathan Holmes, you've got Ragoza. They're all going with him. Hamming and Pinsker there as well. Hayden Rhodes and Menno Clont, they're carved out a piece of track for themselves. And then the battle towards the end of the points, both the Academy cars up into 14th and 15th after their races so far, has been really action-packed all down the field.
Whitehouse under attack from Ragoza. Ragoza's going to dive down T1. There's going to be contact between the two. And this is going to promote Jonathan Holmes up to 4th position. Ragoza spins and drops down the order. It's not going to be good for him. Whitehouse, unfortunately, pushed off the road. He's going to drop down to 8th position behind Pinsker as well.
Into fifth.
Campfield is going up into 5th position now as he passes Hamming. But yeah, Jonathan Holmes up into 4th position, going to close down on that podium as Campfield drops back in 6th. Hamming holds on to 5th. One thing I've just done the maths on, Jonathan Holmes right now will be taking the championship lead out of this round after coming into it. 27 points at a deficit.
Anything can happen and anything can change at any time in the Formula Challenge. Terence Grech is about 6 seconds off of points himself, so I think he's going to need some more things to be going his way to stand a chance at scoring in this race. But I don't think this fight's over. I think Holmes, he might have gotten clear, but Frank Hamming with an opportunistic move going through the spin corner, and he managed to make his way up from 8th to 5th. Passing Adrian Campfield when Campfield just tried to get him back. And that's Frank Hamming 5th. He's going to be, I think, the one that we're going to have to look at that's going to need to defend, because he's going to have aggressive anyway, Adrian Campfield behind. Pinsker, who's going to sniff an opportunity, and George Whitehouse, who's going to be ruining what just went wrong, all up under the rear wing.
Still has to look at the points and just be like, do you know what, I'm in a good spot, it's been a good round. Can still gain a few more positions here.
Comes Campfield. He's making closing. He's going to go to the inside. Whitehouse behind, looking like he's going to try something against Pinsker, and through goes Campfield. Hamming nearly goes into the back of him though, so Hamming's going to need to be a bit careful. But Hamming's got the run. Can he repass Adrian Campfield yet again as he's going to go to the outside? Campfield defended last lap, and then Hamming just went up and underneath, and Hamming's going to try it again. Oh, bit of contact. Campfield got wise to it, but Hamming with a small nudge gets through up into 5th again. This battle is not going to end for a little while.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was a little bit dodgy. It was just a slightly mistimed cutback. It was close. I mean, to be fair, from what I saw, I don't think there was actually much contact between the two. It's just the physics threw him off. But yeah, Hamming is doing everything he can to keep Campfield back. He's played his cards very well at the moment. Campfield very quick, and we'll be trying to get past ASAP. Off into the distance, P4 has run away, so there's no fighting for that. So this battle for P5 is our big one at the moment.
Even the battle for second place has started to quiet down between Zubinski and Michalak. So this is the fight at the moment. It's Hamming, Campfield, and Pinsker for P5. Whitehouse just fallen back from these guys a little bit on this lap, but we're going to come down towards the final corner again, so a nice big slipstream followed by a pretty important corner that's going to lead onto a long straight with a DRS. Campfield's going to get DRS. Hamming's too far back, so he's not going to have any DRS to use defensively. Campfield's a bit far back as well, so goes up, but is he going to be able to send it into turn 1? He's a long way back, and no, Hamming holds him off. Pinsker's closed right up on them both. Through turn 2, through turn 3, up the hill. Can Campfield do to Hamming what Hamming's been doing to him the last 2 laps and make the pass in turn 4? Hamming got a good run. I think Hamming might be leading this train for a little while longer.
Yeah, he's doing everything right at the moment and putting his car on the right position. Very important. Half a second is the gap now between second and third, so they've closed up again. Will anything come of it? Not too sure. Campfield is trying absolutely everything to get by at the moment, and none of it is working. Is he saving anything for the last 3 laps of this race?
I doubt it. I think right now he's got to be more concerned with what's happening behind him, I think, because James Pinsker is all over the back of him. And I think Pinsker, he's going to, as soon as he sniffs an opportunity, he's going to go for it. And Campfield moving offline to attack Hamming is basically just an invitation for Pinsker to try something at this point.
That's the thing. I mean, I say we've both been in trains of cars, and sometimes being the second or whatever. Oh, Campfield runs a little bit wide. He's going to be slow into the final corner. But sometimes you don't want to be the second car in line or whatever. You want to be either at the back.
Daniel Hurlock dropping down out of the points, out of the race for Daniel Hurlock. So that's going to be Terence Grech with a shot at points now. But back to this battle. Pinsker, he's going to be right in the slipstream of Campfield. Campfield following in the wheel tracks of Frank Hamming, trying to get any possible slipstream, but it's not going to happen. James Pinsker's closing and closing and closing. Goes to the inside. Campfield defends. Pinsker's gone deep. Oh, and nails Frank Hamming. George Whitehouse does a good job to avoid, and Pinsker's going to slide up to 5th. Hamming's going to do a pretty fortunate job, I think, to recover to 6th, but James Pinsker went in ludicrously deep. I say he got the double slipstream, double DRS, and was arriving at turn 1 way faster than he thought. And look from Pinsker, there he is. He's given the place back to Hamming and made Campfield drive around the outside. So that's sporting from Pinsker, but now he's going to be right back on the attack. Whitehouse is there, and all of this has brought Hayden Rhodes back into the equation. And same with Menno Klomp. But then look behind this battle for 11th. Lexo has disposed of Ragosa, who's now under all sorts of pressure from Ellis Richardson, and Krupa's there as well. And then further behind that is Hemmingson versus Grech for the final point. I doubt they thought they'd be battling for such a small amount of points at the beginning of this race, but it's all action everywhere still.
Yeah, a slight defence on Pinsker, by the way, is, to be fair, on the inside of T1, that braking zone is incredibly bumpy, and you can lose the rear end, especially when the DRS closed, you get on the brakes. So his rear end just came around. He did the right thing to give that position back. Whether or not there'll be any repercussions of it, not too sure. To be fair, if I was a driver and that had happened and then they'd given it back, just leave it to it. Hopefully Hamming's car's all right.
It seems like Hamming's car is not suffering anything huge. I mean, it's a little bit steering off center and a little bit wobbly on the straights, but it's, he's all in one piece. And all in one piece is good enough here. And look at this in the background. That's Menno Klomp. Is he attacking Hayden Rhodes? No, Rhodes is defending against Menno Klomp. Deep. Klont's going to have to run through turn 2 and up the hill. These guys in the battle for 5th. There don't look anything happening, and Rhodes and Klont's going to be the battle here into turn 4. Rhodes defends. Klont goes to the outside. Underneath, and he's going to do it as Rhodes runs very wide off the track. Klont's going to sweep around the outside and then up the inside here. Ooh, side by side still. Hayden Rhodes stays ahead.
Yeah, good bit of driving there to keep that car ahead of Menno Klomp, a man of his experience. Very good.
So Stephen Lexo is going to be, he's right on the back of these guys already. And this battle between Rhodes and Klomp, there's a big tire squeal, and that's Alexander Ragosa. He spun out of 12th place. Down to 14th, gets it back going again. That's not going to have done his tyres any good, but at least he's still in the points. Is Whitehouse. Oh, Whitehouse goes around.
Sorry. That's terrible. Up at the front, though. Singh coming up to the final corner to win that race. Brilliant drive.
Great stuff from Sandeep Singh. He's got past a few of the back markers. That's Janal and Ianaka, the driver game seat pair. Sandeep Singh's going to win the race. For second, this could get close. Yabinski is ahead of Mikulak, and Mikulak's not going to get enough DRS, so that's 2 and 3. Holmes for 4th, and then this crazy battle, and Lexo all of a sudden is up to 9th. Klont has been passed by both Lexo and Ellis Richardson. They're all together and off the track. That's Whitehouse. That's Ragosa. They're into the wall in the final corner of the race. George Whitehouse, he's going to have to back out of the gravel trap. Here comes Grech. Here comes Hemmingson. They're going to steal points of the death. And that's someone stopped. That's Krupa barely moving across the line. All sorts of things happening. Whitehouse struggles to avoid Rick Van Doren and gets past. Whitehouse finishes 18th, and Sem Wong, another one off the track. Oh, and he hits Philip Koenig. White on Sem Wong, 21st. All action even to the final corner of this race, with tempers flaring everywhere. But who won't be angry with that? Sandeep Singh going to take an impressive win. 4 seconds nearly was the gap to second place. Mateusz Jabinski, who quite rightfully doing some donuts, he's going to be happy with that result. Kasper Mikulak, strong podium for PZZW. For Jonathan Holmes, a 1st and a 4th. He's going to be happy with that.
Well, he's got a championship lead.
Frank Hamming, again, that's race star Namako as he spun it on the way in. He's going to be very happy with that. No points on the board for either of the race star cars. And then a 5th and a 6th. So 21 points coming in from Frank Hamming. That's got to be gold for any team. Campfield's going to finish 6th. James Pinsker going to cross the line 7th after sportingly giving those places back, but may still find himself feeling the wrath of the DC. Hayden Rhodes with a impressive run through to 8th when it all was said and done. Stephen Lexo stealing 9th at the death from Oliver Ellis Richardson in 10th. Menno Klomp down to 11th. Alexander Ragosa up to 12th from 14th on the last lap. David Krupa crossed the line at a snail's pace. Not sure what was happening to him, but he finished 13th. 14th, Terence Grex, who does steal some points at least for this event. Martin Hemmingson, 15th. Just to round out the points finishers, ahead of Rick Van Dorn, Yannick Malaika, and George Whitehouse. Not sure what on earth happened to him in the final corner, but that's 8th to 18th, which is not good, whichever way you slice it. Just pipping home his teammate Gerrit Fries, and Philip Koenig going to round out the top 20. Wong, who finished in a ball of dust and no front wing, ahead of Miguel de los Rios. Dionysus Faros made it to the end of this race, ahead of Tony Janssen, and then Simone Iannacco and Paul Holt. 25th and 26th, with Francesco Gianelli finishing 2 laps down and battling with his teammate across the line. Your DNFs, Daniel Hurlock with suspension damage, Patrick Wannemuller, Giuseppe Saracino both find their way to DNF. Bartlemy Meshishik out with suspension. Arjen van Putten retires as well. That's a relatively high attrition race, but so much going on in that race, Lewis.
Yeah, I'm not surprised the attrition rate being at 5 cars, especially with some of the stuff we saw earlier. It did clean up as the race goes on, but I think there's a few drivers. We'll be looking at their disciplinary committee page on the GPV website quite shortly, because I think there'll be some penalties dished out after this one, and some, well, hopefully not too many angry words thrown about, and just, head down, report what you want to report, and move on. But it was a heated battle in the desert of Bahrain.
Heated being the operative word.
Exactly.
Tempers boiling over in the desert.
Yeah, just have to see how it is and move on into the next round. Head up.
There's some of the drivers discussing some things in the chat post race. And speaking of someone who has some things potentially to discuss, Sandeep Singh, brilliant drive from you today. Got a bit unfortunate early on in race 1, but then a run back to 4th and then a win in race 2. Got to be happy with that.
Yeah. I'm tempted to swear, but I'm just going to keep it in. But yeah, bloody finally won a race in RF2 and finally won a race in FC again. Feels good. Race 1, that could have gone so horribly wrong, but yeah, I managed to keep out of trouble and made it back to 4th. Had a little sniff for 3rd. Don't know, looking back on it, if I could have been a little bit more aggressive. I didn't want to risk a penalty at the time, so good points tonight though. And Casey's first win, I'm happy for them.
So
yeah, I'm screaming inside. Don't worry.
So your run to the line with George Whitehouse in the first race, that was pretty impressive. And so you have one corner to go. Did you just sort of say, well, whatever's whatever, and just send it?
I just thought, why? I thought they might as well go for it. He opened up for me. I was considering going on the outside for the final call, and then he went back on the racing line, and I thought, okay, I know I'm better than him on the brakes. I know I got a better front end than him, so I went for it. And yeah, it almost paid off in the end, but I think it was my mistake anyway for being back there anyway. So.
And well, that's some strong point scores are going to put you back up towards championship contention. What with Terence Grex seeming to struggle a lot today, so I think nothing but congratulations on that account. And
yeah, thanks. I'm not thinking about a championship yet. I'm just getting these races done. I'll see where I am halfway through the season.
Fair enough. Just take each one as they come, and then
yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Sandeep. As when I move on to our next interviewee, if you will, it's David Krupa. David, are you?
Hello, guys.
Again, you showed a lot of pace today, but again, the results just weren't quite there. Did you just second place in race 1, which is obviously very strong, and then race 2 just didn't seem to go your way? Was it just getting tangled up, or?
Oh, well, to be honest, the first race, it wasn't quite as smooth as it could be because midway through the race I started choking. I couldn't breathe, to be honest, because it was so hot in my room and I have breathing problems that I couldn't breathe, so I had to call my mom to open the window, and it was this time when I went wide in last corner and lost a bit of time to Jonathan. But overall, I mean, finally it's a good result, sort of. Second place. It could be better always, but I'm happy for that. I'm very happy for the team because finally finally get some points for me. Shame that Martin didn't finish because he, I think, hit the wall exiting the last corner. But overall, yeah, it is what it is, and we have to, I think, continue working this way as we do now, and maybe next time we will see better result.
I mean, hopefully we will. I've been saying all season you're someone with a lot of pace. I saw you through the Academy series and all the other series at the end of last year. It doesn't seem to be going so well for you this season overall. Is it just a problem getting the pace down in qualifying,
Um,
or
no. It's the Australia. I was 15 in quali because I had internet connection issue, and I've been disconnected at the start of quali. Then I had to restart all the apps, the Air Factor, SRT, and so on. So I didn't have time to put a good lap in, and yeah, so P15 in Australia, P2 in Malaysia, but I but I didn't do so well in the last corner. Maybe it could be P1, but it is what it is. And yeah, this time I didn't do so well on the last lap in quali, but yeah, I think when I get everything together finally in quali, it will be some at the top. I hope, at least. Yeah.
hopefully so? I mean, I'm personally a big fan of yours, and watching your driving is always pretty entertaining. So
Oh,
hopefully
thank
we
you.
will see you return to proper form at Baku.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's one of my favorite circuits, but I never raced at this object, to be honest. Uh, yeah, the last time I was league racing for it was for AOR 3 years ago when I was, let's say, kicked during the season because of some concerns about our split. There were few guys that were a bit different, and admins thought that it will be good to kick everyone that was suspected of using some other, let's say, programs to help our driving and so on. But now I think, yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back on podium in very competitive league, and I'm really looking forward to the
Good.
what's gonna happen later in this season. Yeah.
I think we're all looking forward to that, and that's good to hear. As I alluded to before, we are back next round of the Formula Challenge in 2 weeks, coming from Baku. But between now and then, we have plenty of league action. We have the rest of the career ladder in the Super Cup, Super League Light, and the Super League coming up for you next week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, respectively. And also tomorrow, I'm sure Lewis is just as excited about this as I am, because both of us are going to be in action for the first round of the World GT Series from Bathurst. That's going to be coming out tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that one. It's when GPVWC takes over the big GTs as opposed to these little nippy open wheelers. So, Lewis, you hyped for that one?
Me, not really. I'm not a GT guy, but it should be quite an interesting championship, especially towards the front end. A lot of talent towards the front end when it comes to like some of the best GT races that we've got in R Factor 2. An incredible level on the field. Same as ITC stepped up last season with the strength of field just went through the roof. World GT looks to be getting the same kind of treatment with some of the drivers coming in. So should be a very, very good watch. I'll be starting from the back and probably ending it there. But it'll be a good one to watch. And then, yeah, of course, Carrillo the back the week after. And then Formula Challenge returns to Baku, which will, if it's anything like this round, be wildly interesting.
I think both of us can safely say Baku last year was interesting. The first couple of rounds of this season have arguably been more entertaining and more interesting, more curveballs being thrown. So I'm sure that a lot of people are very excited for that. But for our camera person today, Alex Skinner, for Lewis McGlade, I've been Mike Bell, and we will see you next time.
on the wet part of the racetrack. Oh, he swings left and right, and then trying to put Morris up. Morris! Oh! That was so close.
To keep up to date with the latest GPVWC videos, click on the subscribe button, or check out more of our exciting sim racing action by choosing a video. For more information on the league, visit gpvwc.com.